Welcome to US Coins World. What if I told you that some of the rarest and most valuable US coins might be hiding right under your nose? Today, we're uncovering incredible treasures, coins so rare, they could make you a fortune overnight. Ready to discover hidden history and cash in on some amazing finds? Let's dive in. Top 1 today, get ready to dive deep into the story of a truly iconic piece, the United States Washington quarter $1776 to 1976, also known as the Bicentennial Quarter. If you think you know everything about this famous coin, think again. Because today, we're not just talking about any quarter, we're revealing why some versions of this coin can be worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. So listen closely, because this is a coin story every collector must hear. Let's start by setting the scene. In 1976, the United States celebrated its 200th birthday, the bicentennial of American independence. To mark this historic occasion, the U.S. Mint released special commemorative coins, including a unique version of the Washington Quarter. Unlike the usual quarters, which featured George Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, the bicentennial quarters had a brand new design on the back, a patriotic eagle clutching 13 arrows above a wreath of 13 olive branches. The date was also changed to read 1776 to 1976, emphasizing the 200-year span of the nation's freedom. These quarters were minted in the millions, literally billions, and were released into circulation nationwide. They were made in 3 metals, standard copper-nickel clad for general circulation, and special versions in silver clad and 40% silver for collectors. Because so many were produced, you might think these coins are common and not worth much, right? Well, here's where the story gets interesting. Among these millions of bicentennial quarters, some stand out because of their extreme rarity and unique errors. These rare coins have become the holy grail for collectors and can command prices that seem unbelievable for a coin you might find in your pocket change. Now, before you dismiss this as a common coin, listen very carefully. Point 1 of the most sought-after bicentennial quarters is the 1976 Washington Quarter double die obverse error. What exactly is a double die error? Simply put, it's when the coin is struck twice with misaligned dies, causing the images, usually the lettering or numbers, to appear doubled or blurry. On the bicentennial quarter, this error can be seen in the date 1776 to 1976, or in the word Liberty, where the letters look like they've been stamped twice, slightly off from each other. This kind of minting mistake is extremely rare, especially in high-quality coins, and collectors go crazy to get their hands on one. Another famous error that adds massive value is the 1976 Washington Quarter with the missing mint mark. Normally, coins minted in Philadelphia have no mint mark, while those minted in Denver have a small D, and San Francisco coins bear an S. A missing mint mark on a coin that should have one means it slipped through the production line unnoticed, a true minting blunder that instantly makes the coin more collectible and valuable, but the story doesn't end there. Some bicentennial quarters were struck on silver planchets, the metal discs used for minting coins, intended for other denominations or special issues. These silver planchet quarters are incredibly rare because most bicentennial quarters went into circulation in the standard copper-nickel clad version. When you find one of these silver quarters, especially in pristine condition, you're looking at a coin that can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Now, what about condition? That's where collectors get serious. The vast majority of bicentennial quarters you find today have been used, worn, and damaged. But if you discover one in gem uncirculated condition, meaning it looks flawless, with all its original shine and details intact, it can skyrocket in value. Mint state coins graded MS-65 or above by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are the cream of the crop. So how much can one of these rare and perfect bicentennial quarters sell for? Here's the exciting reveal: a pristine, rare error 1976 bicentennial Washington Quarter can be worth as much as $86,000. Yes, you heard that right. $86,000 for a single quarter. Think about that for a moment. A coin that originally had a face value of 25 cents has become one of the most valuable and sought-after collector's items in modern U.S. coinage history. This enormous jump in value is a testament to the power of rarity, condition, and the fascinating stories behind minting errors that if you're a collector or just someone who loves a good treasure hunt, this coin should absolutely be on your radar. Imagine digging through your change, finding a bicentennial quarter that looks perfect, and then realizing it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. It's the stuff of dreams, and here's a tip for collectors: always examine your coins closely, especially those with special dates or mint marks. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to look for doubling in the letters or missing marks. Sometimes the smallest details make the biggest difference. In closing, the United States Washington quarter $1776 to 1976 isn't just a coin commemorating America's independence, it's a symbol of history, art, and the thrilling hunt for rare treasures. Whether you're an experienced collector or just starting out, keep an eye out for those minting errors, pristine conditions, and special silver versions. Because hidden among the billions of quarters out there could be one worth a fortune. Top 2. We're diving deep into an American classic, the United States Washington quarter dollar from 1965. This coin might look familiar at first glance, but if you listen carefully and follow along, you'll discover why some versions of this seemingly ordinary quarter are actually incredibly rare and could be worth a small fortune. The 1965 Washington quarter is a special coin for many reasons, but before we get into its value, let's take a moment to understand the historical and numismatic context. The year 1965 marked a big change for U.S. coinage. It was the first year the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in quarters and half dollars for general circulation, switching instead to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This shift was driven by the rising cost of silver, which had made it impractical to continue producing silver coins for everyday use. So, quarters minted in 1965 and after no longer contained silver, which affected their metal value but also changed the landscape for collectors. Now, at first glance, a 1965 Washington quarter looks very much like other quarters you might find in your pocket or a coin jar. But here's the catch: while most 1,965 quarters were minted in massive quantities, making them common, there exist some very special 1965 quarters that are far from ordinary, especially when it comes to errors, rare minting varieties, and condition. Let's talk about the errors first, because these are what often drive a coin's value from mere pocket change to prized collector's treasure. One of the rarest and most fascinating errors for the 1965 Washington quarter is the so-called double die obverse error. This error occurs during the coin striking process when the die itself, the engraved stamp used to imprint the design, has a doubled image. On the 1965 quarter, this doubling can be seen most noticeably on the words "Liberty" or the motto "In God We Trust," and sometimes on the date itself. The doubling creates a shadow effect, almost like the letters and numbers are stamped twice but slightly offset. This kind of minting error is extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. Top 2. Another extraordinary error that adds to the allure of the 1965 quarter is the off-center strike. In this case, the coin is not properly aligned during striking, which causes the design to be pressed off-center. These off-center strikes vary in severity, with some showing just a slight misalignment and others having dramatic portions of the coin's surface blank or missing design. Such error coins are not only fascinating to look at but can be extremely valuable, especially when the off-center strike is significant but the coin remains in good condition. Adding to these errors, there are other minting anomalies like doubled dates, repunched mint marks, and planchet flaws that make certain 1965 quarters stand out from the millions produced that year. Each of these variations has a dedicated group of collectors eager to find and own a piece of minting history. Now, condition is the other critical factor that influences a coin's value. Most 1965 quarters you'll come across show signs of wear and circulation. However, if you happen to find a 1965 quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition, it becomes a completely different story. Collectors prize coins graded MS-65 or higher by reputable grading services because they preserve the sharp details, original luster, and lack of blemishes that wear tends to erase. The combination of rarity, condition, and especially minting errors can cause the value of certain 1965 Washington quarters to skyrocket. While the typical circulated quarter from that year is worth just face value or slightly above, these rare error coins, especially those with double dies or striking off-centers in high grades, are among the most prized modern U.S. coins. And now, here's the moment you've been waiting for, the reveal of just how valuable these coins can be. A 1965 Washington quarter with rare minting errors, particularly the double die obverse or major off-center strikes, and preserved in excellent condition, can be worth an astonishing $83,000. Yes, that's right, $83,000 for a coin that originally had a face value of just 25 cents. This incredible leap in value shows just how much collectors value rarity, minting mistakes, and pristine condition. It also highlights the thrill of coin collecting, where a simple piece of metal can hold stories, history, and tremendous worth. So, what should you do if you find yourself with a 1965 Washington quarter? First, examine it closely. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and look for any signs of doubling in the letters or numbers. Check if the design appears off-center or if there are any unusual marks or features. Condition matters too, so coins with a shiny, unblemished surface deserve a closer look and possibly professional grading. For collectors, the 1965 Washington quarter offers a fascinating combination of historical significance and hidden treasure potential. It marks the end of an era, the last year before silver vanished from regular circulation quarters, and it holds the promise of discovery for anyone willing to look carefully. To sum it all up, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar is far more than just spare change. It's a coin that represents a pivotal moment in American numismatic history, one that offers a window into minting technology, economic changes, and the thrill of collecting rare errors. And with some rare specimens fetching prices as high as $83,000, it's a coin every collector should keep on their radar. Top 3. We're zeroing in on a classic piece of American history, the United States Washington quarter dollar from 1967. If you think you know this coin well, get ready to be surprised, because some versions of the 1967 quarter are much rarer and more valuable than you might imagine. So, listen closely and enjoy this deep dive, because by the end, you'll understand why some of these quarters can fetch an incredible price. The 1967 Washington quarter holds a unique place in U.S. coinage history. This year was a time of transition and subtle changes, and while the quarter itself might look similar to the ones before and after, collectors know that the details can make all the difference. Unlike earlier quarters made with 90% silver, the 1967 quarter was minted with a copper-nickel-clad composition, as the U.S. Mint had ceased silver coinage for circulation starting in 1965. But even with billions minted, not all quarters from this year are created equal. Most 1967 quarters you'll encounter are common and worth just their face value or a little more, but buried among them are rare varieties and mint errors that dramatically boost their worth. Let's talk about those errors because they're what every coin lover should listen for if you want to find a real gem. One of the most fascinating and valuable errors from 1967 is the double die obverse coin. This minting mistake happens during the coin striking process when the die itself has a doubled image, causing the design elements, often the date or the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, to appear doubled or shadowed. This doubling effect can be very subtle or quite pronounced, and on the 1967 quarter, it's one of the rarest and most prized errors among collectors. Imagine a small, everyday quarter that shows a mysterious doubled imprint. This kind of rarity can push its value way beyond what most coins from that era are worth. Another intriguing error to watch out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the stamping process, resulting in a portion of the design missing or shifted. The off-center strikes vary in degree, and the more off-center and well-preserved the coin is, the more valuable it becomes. Some off-center 1967 quarters reveal dramatic, eye-catching misalignments that make them stand out immediately, and stand out they do, to the tune of thousands of dollars in some cases. There are also rarer variations such as clipped planchet errors, where part of the metal blank used to strike the coin was missing or clipped, resulting in a coin with a unique and irregular shape. These oddities make the 1967 Washington quarter more than just currency. They transform it into a collectible treasure, a conversation piece, and sometimes a fortune. Condition plays a huge role in the coin's value as well. The 1967 quarters that have circulated tend to show signs of wear, scratches, faded details, and dulled luster. However, finding a 1967 quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition is a dream for collectors. When these coins are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and receive a high grade such as MS 65 or above, their value multiplies substantially. Collectors know that condition can make a good coin great and a great coin priceless. Now, you might be wondering, with so many 1967 quarters out there, just how valuable can one of these era or mint condition coins be? Here's the big reveal: the rarest 1967 Washington quarters, especially those with double die obverse errors or significant off-center strikes, in top condition, can be worth as much as $81,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $81,000 for a single quarter. This staggering value highlights just how much the combination of rarity, error, and condition can amplify a coin's worth. It also illustrates why collectors keep hunting through coin rolls, old collections, and even pocket change, hoping to discover one of these precious pieces. If you have a 1967 quarter or come across one, here's a tip: take a close look at the date and lettering. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and examine if the numbers or letters look doubled or blurry, and check if the design appears off-center. Sometimes the smallest details tell the biggest stories and lead to the biggest surprises. In closing, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar is not just a piece of change, it's a window into American history, minting artistry, and the thrilling chase for rare coins. Its story of transition from silver to clad composition, combined with rare errors and beautiful uncirculated examples, makes it an essential coin for any serious collector. And with prices reaching as high as $81,000, it proves that even the smallest coin can hold incredible value. Top 4. We're exploring a gem from the United States, the Washington quarter dollar from 1971. This coin might look like just another quarter in your pocket, but if you pay close attention, you'll discover it holds some incredible surprises. Stick with me because what we uncover today could change the way you see your coin collection forever. The 1971 Washington quarter is a coin from an era of subtle changes and evolving minting techniques. By this time, the U.S. Mint had already transitioned away from silver coins for circulation, starting in 1965. So, the 1971 quarter was struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet, just like quarters from the mid-60s onward. However, what makes this coin special is not its metal content but its rarity, unique mint errors, and condition, all of which have the power to turn an everyday quarter into a collector's treasure. Let's talk history for a moment. The Washington quarter was originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, and it quickly became a staple of American coinage. By 1971, the quarter had become an everyday part of American life, but even so, coins from this year have some secret stories, especially for collectors who know what to look for. One of the most exciting things about the 1971 Washington quarter lies in its mint errors. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the coin production process, and these mistakes can make a coin incredibly rare and valuable. For the 1971 quarter, one of the most sought-after errors is the double die obverse. This means that during the striking process, the die, the tool that stamps the coin's design, was accidentally impressed twice, slightly misaligned, creating a doubled image effect. On the 1971 quarter, this doubling can often be seen on key inscriptions like "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or even on the date. This subtle doubling is a magnet for collectors because it makes the coin truly one of a kind. Another fascinating error to watch for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't properly aligned during striking, causing the design to be shifted off the center. Sometimes the misalignment is slight, but other times it's dramatic, revealing large blank areas or cut off parts of the design. Off-center strikes from 1971 quarters are especially prized if the coin remains in good condition and the misstrike is severe enough to be noticeable. These coins turn heads because each one is uniquely flawed, an accidental masterpiece. There are also other rare varieties and minting quirks, like repunched mint marks or clipped planchets, which add to the 1971 quarter's mystique and value. Clipped planchets occur when the metal blank used to strike the coin was improperly cut, resulting in a coin with a missing piece or an unusual shape. These quirks are like nature's fingerprints on your coin, making it utterly unique. Now, let's talk condition, because it's no secret among collectors that condition is king. The majority of 1971 quarters found today show signs of wear, scratches, and lost luster from decades of circulation. But if you discover a coin in gem uncirculated condition, meaning it looks as if it just came fresh from the mint with all its details sharp and its surfaces brilliant, then you're holding something incredibly special. Coins graded MS-65 or above by professional graders like PCGS or NGC are highly coveted and command premium prices in the market. So, what happens when you combine rarity, mint errors, and excellent condition? You get a coin that could fetch a price far beyond its face value. While a standard circulated 1971 quarter might only be worth a few cents or a couple of dollars to a collector, the rare error coins in pristine condition can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. And now for the big reveal: the rarest, most flawless 1971 Washington quarter error coins can reach a staggering price of $79,000. Imagine that. A coin originally worth 25 cents selling for nearly $80,000. This isn't just about money, it's about owning a piece of history, a numismatic marvel that few get to see, let alone own. If you're a collector, here's a tip: always check your 1971 quarters closely. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and look for doubled lettering, off-center images, or anything unusual about the edges. Even small differences can signal a rare error that changes the entire value of your coin. To wrap things up, the 1971 Washington quarter dollar is so much more than just a simple coin. It's a symbol of America's rich coinage history, a testament to the intricacies of minting, and a thrilling reminder that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the greatest surprises. Whether you're an experienced collector or just starting out, keep an eye on those quarters. You never know which one could be your ticket to a treasure worth $79,000. Top 5. We're shining the spotlight on a classic piece of American coinage, the United States Washington quarter dollar from 1972. At first glance, it might seem like just an everyday quarter, but if you listen carefully and pay attention, you'll soon discover why certain 1972 quarters are incredibly rare, highly sought after, and can command mind-blowing prices. So, get comfortable and enjoy this deep dive, because what you're about to learn could change the way you view that small coin in your pocket forever. The 1972 Washington quarter is a fascinating coin with a rich background. By this time, the mint had long since moved away from using silver in quarters. Starting in 1965, quarters were struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet, giving them a more durable composition for everyday use. Despite being produced in vast quantities, not all 1972 quarters are created equal. For collectors, it's the rare varieties, mint errors, and exceptional condition coins that truly steal the show. And today, we'll explore exactly what makes these quarters so special. Let's start with the history and significance. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, honoring the nation's first president and commemorating his 200th birthday. Over the decades, it became one of the most recognizable coins in circulation, a staple in wallets and coin jars across America. But like any coin series, within the millions minted each year, there are always rare anomalies that make certain coins stand out. 1972 is no exception. One of the most thrilling aspects of collecting 1972 quarters lies in the errors that occurred during minting. Mint errors happen when something goes off during the production process, resulting in coins that are different from the standard issue. For the 1972 Washington quarter, one of the most coveted and valuable errors is the double die obverse. This error occurs when the die used to stamp the coin's design has a doubled image, creating a shadow or doubling effect on the lettering or numbers. On a 1972 quarter, collectors look closely at the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date itself to spot this doubling. When found, this subtle yet distinct doubling turns an ordinary quarter into a numismatic treasure. Another fascinating error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't properly aligned during striking, causing the design to shift off-center. Depending on how severe the misalignment is, off-center strikes can be dramatic or slight. The more pronounced the off-center strike and the better preserved the coin, the more valuable it becomes. A 1972 quarter with a strong off-center strike can command high prices because it's essentially a minting accident that collectors prize for its uniqueness. We also see rarer variations such as the clipped planchet, where part of the coin's metal blank is missing due to an error in cutting the metal strip before striking. This results in coins with irregular shapes and distinctive curved missing sections, adding to their rarity and collectible appeal. Now, condition is always key when it comes to value. Most 1972 quarters you find today will show signs of wear from decades in circulation, scratches, loss of detail, and a dull surface. However, a coin in flawless, uncirculated condition with full original luster can be worth exponentially more. Collectors place tremendous value on coins graded MS-65 or higher, meaning they appear almost as they did when they left the mint, with sharp details and no damage. When you combine rarity, minting errors, and exceptional condition, you have the perfect recipe for a coin that can sell for incredible sums. While the average 1972 quarter might only be worth a small amount over face value, the rare error coins in pristine condition are another story entirely. And now for the moment you've been waiting for, the jaw-dropping value of the rarest 1972 Washington quarters. Some of these extraordinary coins, especially those with the sought-after double die obverse errors or major off-center strikes in top mint state grades, can fetch an astonishing $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. $75,000 for a single quarter that was originally worth just 25 cents. This astounding value highlights the thrill and passion of coin collecting, where a tiny piece of metal can hold a story, a mistake frozen in time, an immense worth. So, if you find yourself with a 1972 quarter, or come across one in a coin roll or collection, I urge you to take a closer look. Grab a magnifying glass and carefully examine the lettering, date, and overall design. Look for any signs of doubling, off-center images, or unusual shapes. Sometimes the most extraordinary treasures hide in the smallest details. To sum up, the 1972 Washington quarter dollar is much more than just spare change. It's a coin that captures a moment in American history, showcases the complexity and occasional imperfection of coin minting, and offers the chance for collectors to own something truly special. With values reaching as high as $75,000, it's a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable things come in the smallest packages. Thanks so much for joining me on this exciting journey into the world of the 1972 Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing coin stories, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a chance to discover another hidden gem. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp, your collections growing, and happy hunting.